by just like calling these out, by being really open about these things and sharing like some of the stuff that's going on in my brain, some of the struggles that I have, I hope then that some of the things I say and do make more sense to people.
Here, what noise do potatoes make?
Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Cassandra and this is where I talk about my life experiences and lessons learned to try and help other people who might be in similar situations. One thing I'm realising or already knew and keep being reminded of is that I'm not particularly good at helping myself currently, but it is something that I'm working on. And one lesson that I've come across in my life before, that's come into my attention before, but that I seem to be having a lot of difficulty actually learning, remembering, retaining, etc., is that when you hide something, you give it power. When you keep something a secret, you give that thing control over you. The last video I did about mental health and coming out about being disabled and some of the mental health disabilities that I have, I was very pleasantly surprised by the positive response and kind words that I got from that. So thank you all very much for that. But even before those positive responses came in, like immediately after I posted it, I felt a lot better. I felt very emotional, but I did also feel like a weight had been lifted off me because what I was keeping secret wasn't a secret anymore, and that gave me some power and freedom back. So with that in mind, I want to do that again in this video to try and continue teaching myself that lesson, and as a way to help myself. If it helps other people too, that's great, but the primary purpose of this is really for me because I worry a lot. I worry about a lot of things. There's a lot of things that have been on my mind lately and things that are getting in the way of me being able to do things and getting better, you know? So this is also kind of like a bit of like an unmasking thing for me too. I've made some notes about some of the stuff that I want to cover, but you know me, I'm just going to be rambling on and on, so yeah. So one big thing that like really gets in my way is like, so these are all going to be like worries that I have that like don't make sense, you know, the cognitive dissonance in my mind where like my beliefs and my actions and my thoughts and my feelings, they just don't match up, and I like do things that don't make sense to get in my own way. And one of these big things is like on one hand, like I say, like, oh, I don't really care what people think about me, like, yeah, whatever, like you're always going to be disliked by someone and that's fine. But then on the other hand, I have a very big worry about not being believed. I think this stems from being physically and emotionally abused ever since I was a child. And I remember when I was young, I had a very big worry about if I tell anyone, they won't believe me. My abusers told me that no one would believe me, and I would worry about what would happen. As I got older, as I noticed and heard more things, I realised that it's not that people didn't know or they didn't believe me. They knew, they just didn't care. And that's why they never did anything. So I kind of feel like, you know, when I was thinking about this and like how to kind of explain it in this video, I kind of realised that in a way it's easier for me to worry that people won't believe me and therefore either not tell them or to, you know, put all my efforts into being believed, because the alternative that people do believe me, they just don't care, is still hurtful to me, even though I don't really care what people think. It's something that's ingrained, it's something that's was a part of my upbringing. So that's really tough for me. And the way that kind of like manifests especially is like, I am mentally ill, I'm mentally disabled. I now officially have treatment resistant depression, which is just, it's great. Not. And when you try and do like the self-care thing or whatever, you try and find like a little bit of like lightness in your day. I'm trying to do things that I enjoy, such as, like maybe going to a restaurant I like, or going to karaoke with friends, or even on my own, or like even like making videos like for my other channel. That makes me feel better. But then it makes me think that, this old misconception that, oh, you can't be depressed because I saw you smiling one day. You can't be depressed because I saw you laughing earlier. Like, which is just ridiculous, but it's so, like, it's such like a strong belief that people seem to have, that I worry that if I do things to make myself feel better, and if I do like force myself to leave the house to do something that I know inevitably I will enjoy once I get there, I feel like I can't do it, because then people will see me in a good moment and they won't believe that that's like a fucking drop in the ocean of all the bad times that I have. And that's harmful to me, because then I avoid doing things that make me feel better in the moment, and I just stay feeling bad. And that's really unfair, and that's a worry that I want to let go of. Kind of related to that as well is like, when I come on and I make these videos, I have so many ideas for videos, but most of the time I don't feel either well enough to record them, edit them, make the thumbnails or whatever, or I somehow feel like I am, like, that I can manage to do it, but that my like mood and demeanour is like super down and depressing, and then I'm like, oh well, no one's gonna want to watch a video like where someone's just bumming them out, basically, you know what I mean? But then I always say that, I try and be like more authentic. I try and show more of like the real life side of things, and not just that everything is like happy and whatever. But then I'm like, I'm trying to help people in the videos and they don't want to watch my videos because they're like depressing. Then like, what use is it, So that's like a kind of like a spiral that I get myself in. But I think that's just something for me to let go of, to get over, to push past, and to think more about what's right for me, rather than trying to optimize things and make everything so much better for everyone else, because there's that thing of perfectionism and that thing of being good enough, but that nothing is ever good enough, which is totally unfair. And then like logically there's the whole 80-20 thing where like, what is it, 80% of the time 20% is enough, something like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and be like kinder to myself and care less if people think that like my videos aren't super upbeat or whatever, because yeah, I think that's just going to be better for me, because then it puts pressure on me, because I feel like I've got this whole backlog of stuff. I feel like I'm not like accomplishing things or being productive or any of that bullshit. And then on top of that as well, another thing, I was recently made redundant from my job while on sick leave for mental health issues. I've never been involuntarily unemployed before in my entire life. So that has definitely really added onto the mental struggles and the difficulties. And I'm still on sick leave. And then something I have in my mind is like, oh, well then if I'm like going on these videos and being like, seeming that I'm happy and that things are going well, and that if I produce a lot of these videos, then people are going to think, well, you can't be sick because you're spending your time doing that, not realizing that like most of my time is not spent doing that, and that when I do manage to, make videos for my channels, like, that helps me to feel better. So again, it's just like this cycle of like not good stuff and the worry of not being believed that ultimately doesn't help me and just stops me from getting anywhere and from progressing, So I want to like expose these worries and call out these obstacles so that again I can just talk about them more casually, and then I can come into videos like not seeming the happiest, and that people will know why, and that it's going to be more okay, and it's like somehow more acceptable, because I think there is like a very big thing of like this toxic positivity where, you're supposed to be like happy and positive all the time, and like even if you do talk about your problems, like it can't be too deeply, and then you have to like immediately go back to like seemingly happy because otherwise you're going to bum people out or whatever. But like that's not real life, and it's not authentic, it's not helpful to anyone, I don't think. So me being me, liking to do things differently, I still have this innate thing in my mind that says like just do it anyway, despite your worries, which again is one reason that I'm making this video. Anyway, I'm trying not to ramble too much, but again, you know me. I think another thing as well that like motivates me to make these videos and like a cognitive dissonance that I have is like that with these videos, like I say, like I'm trying to help other people who might be in similar situations, and what I'm essentially trying to do is to create value and positivity from my pain and my suffering, because my pain is very big and it's very active. It actively hurts me and causes me distress. And in my mind, I feel like, well, at least if I have to go through this pain, I might as well take away lessons from it, and I might as well teach those lessons to other people and help those other people as well, so that either they don't have to go through the pain in order to learn those things, or that so if they're, also in that position as well, that they're not going to feel so alone and that they're going to be able to find a way out. And that, like, is a way for me to make my pain and suffering not seem like it's for nothing. But where that's tricky is then the more videos I want to make, the more work I create for myself. And it's like, is that good for me? I think the key is balance, and I've never been good at balance, but I'm trying. I'm experimenting. I'm trying to find good ways to reach that balance. But yeah, just kind of like, I don't know, like I know, like what's kind of annoying to me is like, I feel like I've been cornered into this mentality almost of like being a martyr, like I'll suffer so other people don't have to. I would obviously rather not suffer, but it seems that I don't have a choice, like I'm doing everything that I can to get help and to get better, but it's not working. So while I'm going through that, I feel like I might as well try and help other people as well. And I think on a deeper level as well, it comes from the fact that growing up, even though people knew what was going on, no one ever helped me. So I try and be the person who bothers to help for someone else, But the messed up thing about that is that, again, I'm still not very good at helping myself, I'm still prioritizing helping other people at the abandonment of myself and how to help myself, and maybe even sometimes like the worsening of my own position. So that's complex. Again, it's, you know, stuff that, you know, my thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions, they don't make sense, but I'm trying to find a way. And again, by just like calling these out, by being really open about these things and sharing like some of the stuff that's going on in my brain, some of the struggles that I have, I hope then that some of the things I say and do make more sense to people. Because I think that is one of the pitfalls as well of like neurodivergent people, is like when you're different and when you spend so much time and energy trying to figure out what the rules are and follow those rules and be accepted and achieve connections with other people and all this kind of stuff, while you do that and keep secret what you're really thinking and feeling and the logic that you use to get to those places and the actions that you're doing, by keeping the reasonings behind what people are able to perceive a secret and not telling people why you're doing the things that you're doing, it's counterintuitive, you know, it has the opposite effect. It isolates you more. It makes you less understandable to other people. It makes you unable to build authentic connections because you're keeping major parts of yourself from other people. And even if you manage to get some of, you know, the positive things you're trying to get from doing all that work, it's still somehow not as real and good as it can be, because it wasn't based off like what you really think and feel and who you really are. You know, people talk about the authentic self. That's still hidden, and you're still, you know, like people talk about uncanny valley with like AI and stuff like that, but it exists with people too, you know, when people are neurodivergent and they're trying to act neurotypical, it kind of subconsciously freaks people out. They're like, what's weird about this person? And I feel like if we can just be more open about what's going on, then it makes more sense. And people, I read like a really depressing article about a research study showing that a lot of people will still think that that person is weird and avoid them simply for being different, which, yes, not not great. But you know, then other people will be like, oh, okay, now I understand, and you know, that can be a way to build more authentic connections and relationships, right? I'm going off on tangents. Oh my god, I need to stop doing that. Anyway, yeah, so another thing that I do is like I try and, you know, with knowing all these things and you know, being some level of self-aware and trying to find the balance and stuff like that, like I'm trying to like accept that I have disabilities and know the difference between what is just the way that I am and what is an illness that can be treated, you know. So there's a difference between like an accommodation and a treatment. And while I'm trying to like come to terms with all that, try and like accommodate my needs and try and like do things that will be helpful to me, I feel like I shouldn't do that, like I'm not supposed to. One, because, you know, I talked about in my last video, because I'm technically capable of just pushing through and like being horrible to myself and not making problems for anybody else. But like the cost of that to myself is so great, like I don't want to do that anymore. But then unfortunately I also have like a major issue with self-worth. Like I fundamentally don't believe that I have like enough value or worth to justify looking after myself or prioritizing myself over anyone else, which is really, really sad. But I'm working on it. And again, that's one reason for doing this video. Like a lot of this as well, like this whole thing with like worth and value and productivity and all this kind of bullshit, like the more I research, the more I observe, the more I learn and experience things, the more I realise like how harmful capitalism is to all this, you know, because it's literally about accumulating wealth and assigning monetary value to another human being based on what they can do for you. And I think that's really fucked up. And the more I learn about this, the more I represent capitalism in the society that we live in. But it's like, it's so pervasive. Unless everybody abandons capitalism, you can't not play the game without screwing yourself over in every practical sense of living in this world. That's very difficult for me to come to terms with, because it's this thing of like, how far are you willing to go in terms of like self-sacrifice for what you believe in? And at what point do you say, yeah, okay, I do have this belief, but my survival is also important. I struggle with that. And then there's like the irony of the whole fucking thing and how I worry so much. I worry so much about everything. Like, I worry about things that have already happened, things that are currently happening, things that haven't happened yet, and things that are unlikely to happen. But actually, like, my existential philosophical belief about the world and the universe and life is that nothing matters, that there is no purpose. So why am I worried? Because it doesn't matter. What am I worried about? Because it doesn't matter. And I think really the thing that I'm worried about the most is that my pain and suffering will continue, and that there's no alternative for me in this life and in this universe. And I've had these big conversations about, you know, like the multi-universe theories, and, you know, there is some universe where I never went through this, I'm not experiencing the pain. There's another one where I have experienced all this, but, you know, now I'm better. And if that can exist in some universe, why not in this one? And honestly, it's like, it's glimmers of hope like that fuck me up. You know, it's the possibility. It's the chance that things could be better that I use to trick myself to carrying on and acting as if things do matter and as if things do have a purpose, because if they don't, then what is all of the pain for? You know what I mean? And that's why I really do cling on to this idea that I can use my pain and suffering to help other people. If I stop doing that, I've never tried. I've never tried to stop helping other people. But thinking about it right now for the first time ever, I wonder whether that would give me the space to help myself first, or if it would make me feel worse. And I don't know. And although I'm very much the kind of person that I'm like, you don't know until you try, right now, thinking about it for the first time, I honestly feel like I don't want to try and like to stop helping people, because that's like such a fundamental part of who I am. Like I have a very strong sense of like right and wrong, good or bad, and again I'm rambling, whatever. Like I have a very strong sense of like being a good person, doing good things, making positive impact. And I'm very much like, if I have to go through this, I might as well try and do some good while I'm here, instead of, just suffering but not adding anything good, And I'm probably just kidding myself about a lot of it, but it's that thing, it's like, I guess in a way it's like partly faith, I've always been envious of people who have faith in terms of like religion or some other power or whatever, where it's like not just something that they were made to conform to, but that they actually believe in it, that they truly have faith, and that it adds something to their life, it gives them something. I've always been envious of that because I've never had that myself. I can't even remember where I was going with this, but I have this idea of what it means to be good and do good, and I don't like the idea of not being a good person and doing good things, but what I just realised as well, thinking about that and how to word it, is that it's never occurred to me that there can also be neutral people who don't do good or bad. And I, until this exact moment, never thought of that as a possibility. So that's something I'm probably going to go away and think about. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, we've gone very, very off track here. What I'm saying is that I think a lot, I worry a lot, I don't make sense in my own head a lot, but it is what it is, and I'm trying to learn what is a good way for me to do things, and to do more of that, and to do things more that way. Because it's like, even though I know like you have to put on your own mask before you put on someone else's, you have to be in a like a good stable position before you can help someone else. Like, yes, it makes sense, but I don't know, there's just something in me that really struggles with that. But I want to practice and get better at doing things that are going to be better for me, and find this balance, between my wants, needs, beliefs, whatever. And yeah, as I say, to shed light on these things that are worrying me and essentially holding me back, to free me from them, to not let them continue to hold back, to control the things that I do, and the way I appear to you when I'm trying to, talk to you, help you, whatever. And so that other people kind of have an idea of like, oh, that's odd behaviour, I wonder what that's about, so that this can maybe explain that a little bit. And that maybe some of you out there can also identify with this, and, again, not feel so alone. I'm always bringing it back to how can it help other people. I don't know. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much for sticking with me. This is what happens, like, even when I try and make like a structure and I try and keep it like succinct, it just goes off the rails anyway, but maybe that's again part of the authenticity. But thank you for making it this far. If you do want to see like less depressing videos and kind of support me in my endeavours, I do have another channel where I just kind of like respond to the internet or do whatever I feel like. I created that one like in May last year, recorded a bunch of videos, and only just finished editing and releasing all the videos that I recorded in May in the last week, which is now January the following year. So yeah, but like making those videos, like recording those videos does actually help me feel a lot better. But just like the work with like the other like post-production, like with the editing, the making the thumbnails and everything like that, it's really that's what's taking me so long, and that's what holds me back, and that's what stops me from recording more videos to make me feel better, because it makes me feel bad about the fact that I can't finish them and release them. So what I'm going to try and do now that my backlog is cleared, I'm going to experiment over on that channel with doing live streams of stuff, so that again there's like less prep involved in that by the very nature of live stream. Like, it doesn't really make sense for me to go through and edit them and stuff. So they're definitely going to be like a different style of video and whatever. But the main idea over there is to like do things that I enjoy and have a laugh and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to be like more cheered up and support me in those endeavors, then go and check out that channel too. Let me know that you're out there and you hear me. I kind of feel a little bit like, you know, I'm a tree falling in the forest, hoping that there's someone there. Because that's an issue I have as well, is a feeling that I don't exist as a real person in isolation, that I only exist in relation to other people, which also is very sad. But never mind, there we are, working on it. I have a lot of issues. This has gone on for too long. But thank you very much for watching. I'm gonna finish here, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.